Yeah, this is a screen, so we want to make sure it works.
That's not the point here.
When I told him, I said to him, maybe that's why, like, he gets. I don't know. Tell you this means you really how loud you know, read
You have to be careful in this show because very often it's all official. Yeah. Exactly. I needed American. I feel like shut up. It's really just a joke.
Okay, Shalom Aleichem, everyone. I'm looking at nice to have a schedule right on the thing. So, so appetizers came out already. So we're not late. We're not late. I'm not going to go overtime. First of all, I just want to thank Rav Katz and his squad, I will call it, for putting this afternoon all together. And I just want to share a thought I have as I read the sign, La'ela Ula'ela, staff appreciation. I just want to a thought a little bit about what I see this as being about, and perhaps future type events that Bez Hashem will have. Baruch Hashem, the yeshiva is very much liach, and we've come a long way, and we've done a lot of things. I'll talk about that in a moment. And as we expand, our team expands, I think there's a real value, and I think we need it. We need it in a real way of more gibush amongst the staff, more, just more getting together as a group. It's hard. We're all on different schedules. We're all busy, and we're doing this man. We're very, very preoccupied in a very, very real way with Talmidim. But Vayakel, as called Das B'nai Yisrael, the idea of everyone being coming together every so often to build us. That's what this tkufa that we're in right now, the Purim, Pesach, Shavuos tkufa, is all about. Taking a group of people that are really, really meant to be very much together, and sometimes a little bit, scattered because of busyness, because of mifurad and mifuzar ben amim, and leit knos es kol haYehudim, bringing us together. And obviously that goes from the Gula Purim to the Gula of Chag Pesach, where Klal Yisrael is together in Mitzrayim, and leaves Mitzrayim together with a real sense of Achdus, and climaxing, of course, in Kabbalas HaTorah, Ki Ish Echad B'Lev Echad. So part of this mission, of course, is appreciation, which I'll speak about in a minute, but it's also a vision of doing a little more together as a tzevet, which is tough, but thinking ahead just to drop a little seed of where that's going. So one thing we want to do as well after next man is to start once a week to the chevra, the rabbanim that are in yeshiva in the mornings and around, to be able to eat lunch together just once a week, just to kind of not quite. It's a good thought. But to eat lunch together again, share ideas. It's both a social piece, which is very, very important, and to share ideas, to talk and learning, to talk in guys, to talk about how we can do things better. Mit Hashem at the end of the summer before the next month, another Gibush event. But really a big part of this is Gibush and taking a staff that is so fine and so excellent and bring it all together. Our staff, as a general matter, there's, as I look around the room, we have our Hananya Berzans, who's been with the yeshiva for a very, very long time. Rav Yedidya Berzans, who've been with the yeshiva a very, very long time, and an Isaacson, who's been around the block for a while. And then we have different kufas where new people came in. So I just wanted to kind of give everyone a little bit of a sense of kind of where we were and where we are now, because I think it's an important piece and it's an important thing to appreciate. Yeshiva's been around for 35 or so years, 36 years, whatever it is. It's been a while. It's had its kufas. It's had its ups and downs. Again, having Rav Beiser, Rav Vogel and others, Rav Elberger and Rav Schultz and Rav Algi as Rabbeim, Rav David. I'm missing Rav Berg Shlita, just alumni of the yeshiva that are, so we've seen a lot over the years in a lot of different ways. I'm a Talmud of the founding Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Azariah Berzan, who was my Rebbe Shana Aleph, and coming back to Mevaseret. Mevaseret was not my yeshiva I learned, but I felt very much coming back home, and was witness to a yeshiva years ago in a real heyday, and then was also witness to the yeshiva around 2006, 7, 8, when things really, really started to unravel in a real way. 2008, I think, we had approximately 36 Shana Aleph students. 36 Shana Aleph students, and Rav Elberger was one of those Shana Aleph students. 36 Shana Aleph students. I don't even know how many Shana Bet students there were. Not many. It was a tiny yeshiva, and it was, I'm not going to say the words goses, but Karav Lagoses. It was not in great shape, and then we had to rebuild. And it took time. It took time, and different staff members came in, different staff members joined, and I will share with you. You say Rosh. I will share with you that my first 2 years as Rosh Yeshiva, I was absolutely miserable. I was the most unhappy person in the world. It was a yeshiva that was very, very challenging, as Rav Elberger perhaps remembers very well. There were 2 yeshivas under one roof. There was a yeshiva of Rav Elberger's, and there was another yeshiva, and it was very, very diverse. It was very, very challenging. I felt like we could do well with either of those yeshivas, but to have both those yeshivas under one roof was really, really challenging, and it was rough. But one thing I think we, media that we have is we learn from mistakes, and we learn kind of how to be better and how to do things better and how to do, how to pick things up. And as a result of a lot of wonderful Rabbeim that joined the staff, there's a lot of better structures, better building. So the yeshiva started to pick up. And then there was another Yerida, a challenging situation financially, just juggling a lot of different things. That was a challenging period of time as well. That was about 7-8 years ago. And then another aliyah, another process of building and rebuilding. And in a certain sense, that brings us where we are today. And today, Baruch Hashem, we are a yeshiva that has a phenomenal name. Out there on the street, we just literally 48 hours ago, we finished this recruiting season, our intake of Shana Aleph boys for next year, and inherently, and anyone who kind of gets this process, it's inherently anxious-filled, even though many high schools, put up some rules that you can't recruit anymore and this and that, but you feel very, very beholden to the decisions that are being made by 17-year-olds. You feel judged, like they're judging. I'm a 57-year-old, spend some time doing good things in my life, and a 17-year-old's judging me and judging us, and like, are we worthy of their year in Eretz Yisrael? It's a very, very humbling feeling. It's a very, very challenging feeling to go ahead and you feel it. I remember Erev Shabbos Kodesh, a boy signs up for another yeshiva, and I thought this boy was like I go, a 17-year-old boy, nice boy, not the next Rashka Bahag, but it hurt, and it impacted my Shabbos Kodesh. It impacted and it's not a great feeling, but Baruch Hashem, as like things there is a process of the right things happen. And Baruch Hashem, with a lot of Siyat Dishmaya, when Motzei Shabbos came and Sunday came and we have our group for next year, it's an exciting group of guys. It's a wonderful group of guys. It's a very growth-oriented group of guys, and it's a testament of everything that's been happening in the yeshiva over the past many years, and a testament to every single person in this room. And I want to just focus on this sign for a second: staff appreciation event. So I think there's different pshatim that might be given to what that means. I think the pashup shot, which I don't think is the real pshat. But the pashup shot is the hanhala, like the people that are in charge, are doing an event to appreciate everyone else, and that's a pshat. It's a good pshat. So the hanhala is appreciating everyone else. It's a fair pshat. But I want to touch on another thought, another idea, another pshat. And I think the pshat I want to give is it's a appreciation event that every single person here should appreciate the work that's being done by every single other person here. It's not just kind of hanhala to others. But I want to identify like the work that's being done by everyone to make the yeshiva what it is. And it's a real thing. God is here. And I remember very well, very well, what the yeshiva looked like on a just the infrastructure and getting things done, just the upkeep of the campus. אתה מבין אותי. הניקיון בישיבה, התיקונים בישיבה, כל האינפרסטרקציה של הישיבה מאחורי, הגשמי של הישיבה מבחינת השטח. Don't clap after. I'm going to go through people, but don't be fair. Don't clap every time. But I want to make a point, and the point is that the ruchnius doesn't happen. It doesn't happen if the guys do not feel taken care of. And in the kitchen, for example, the guys are being taken care of, and the ruchnius doesn't happen unless the guys feel they're being taken care of in their gashmis, in the gastronomic domain. Rav Katz in the office, both in terms of making sure that Imein Kemach in Torah, he's got to make sure tuition comes in. He's the best in the business, and that's it's a backbone of the yeshiva. It's uncomfortable to say, but it is. And his staff in the office, Ricky and Chevy, Menucha, what they offer and their commitment is a big part of things that are going on. It's always been the case, and it's an amazing thing that the people behind the scenes are very much invested in the growth of Talmidim. It's not a small thing. Avichai Avbayit Majichim. Not an easy job, and they're on the front line, and they have to take a lot of things that a Rebbe doesn't have to take. I'll call it abuse. We get to go home every night, and they're there, and they're there with Mesiras Nefesh. They're there with a real sense of commitment. The on-campus Rabbeim are doing we go home for Shabbos. And their home for Shabbos is yeshiva. It's yeshiva, and it's been such an added value to the yeshiva. That sense of being there and doing, and it's something that again everyone. It's easy to kind of identify, and we're not perfect. We'll talk about that in a second. But to see what everyone is doing is all part of the things that are happening today in yeshiva. Obviously, the Rabbeim. And their commitment to the guys, their dedication to the guys, the quality of shiurim and kesher and everything that they're doing for the Talmidim, that's obviously the lifeblood of the yeshiva. So significant, and again, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, and it's something that the yeshiva would not be. It's pashut. The yeshiva would not be where it is today without every single ingredient, with every single one of those pieces. Rav Richards, Rav Glanz's joke was a phenomenal joke at the Purim Spiel. Best joke ever. But he's a busy man in our yeshiva, and it's what's needed. It's what's needed. But looking around the room, every single, and I'll say he's not here now, but I mean this. Netanel is a shutaf in every single aspect of the yeshiva, And he deeply, deeply cares, and he deeply is a big part of the turnaround of the yeshiva. And we all know that. If you've been here, long enough, you know that, and you're aware of that. The Gashmias, the Beis Medrash, and the things that have to happen is all because of his balanced focus of making sure that that we have what we need. And that's, to me, that's my pshat in staff appreciation, is that we should all appreciate everyone, because it's not just about Hanhala appreciating the Rabbeim and everyone else. It's about everyone appreciating what everyone's doing. In that sense, I'll also just say we know that we have more to do, and we're not perfect, and there's more appreciation that's needed. There's more connection. There's more gibush that's needed, and that's certainly on the agenda. And I would certainly appreciate if there are things that you feel, from top to bottom, feel that's missing, that we could do better, that we could help with. That's something that we should share. We should share in a proper way, in a good way, to enable us to be our best. Because again, as I say, I think the yeshiva right now, I remember those days back in 2008, 2009, 2010. I would, Schultz, you're the best. Yeah, I know, but I remember those days. I came to yeshiva every single morning. And you didn't know how many guys were going to be at the Minyan. You didn't know. Like, what was Seder going to be good? Was it going to be not? Like, it was like every day I'm walking into a matzah of Suffolk. And today we can look at the yeshiva with tremendous pride. You walk into a Beis Medrash, even at the end of his man, where things inherently become more shvach. It's not as great as it was 3 weeks ago, but it's good. It's good. You don't walk into yeshiva with a sense of Suffolk. You don't walk into yeshiva. There's a consistency. There's a kol Torah. There's a beauty to what's really going on, and that's really what this is about. It's a celebration of that. It's an appreciation of all of us, appreciating each other, and what together we've accomplished, and we should continue to accomplish. We should continue going Michayil L'Chayil, continue building ourselves, building the guys, building the yeshiva. And it should be a place that is a real place of aliyah, of growth, of accomplishment. And I want to thank everyone for their big pieces in making that all happen. It's a very, very big honor for us to have Hagon Rav Leff with us this afternoon. Rav Leff, as I'm sure you all know, is one of the leading Rabbanim, leaders of the English-speaking community in Eretz Yisrael, and to hear divrei bracha, divrei Torah from the Rav, maybe some hadracha on Inyanei Chinuch from the Rav, is certainly a wonderful opportunity for us. And on behalf of myself and the entire yeshiva, a special hakaras hatov to Rav Leff for joining us this afternoon.
Okay. First of all, it's a mitzvah to be mefarsem nisim. I left Matityahu about an hour ago, and I wasn't a Gaon. In 1 hour, I became a Gaon, and I am a makir the nes.
The way back, you'll get sleep.
That I got when I was bar mitzvah. In any case, I'm a little bit intimidated. I see I'm speaking between the entree and the main course. So I'll make sure that I do not delay your meal. Okay, I was asked by Mrs. Kaplan to speak about hakaras hatov. And I want to give her hakaras hatov for giving me the opportunity to be here. Most people understand hakaras hatov to mean gratitude. You have to feel gratitude to people that benefit you. But the truth is that hakaras hatov is much more than that, and much more basic and fundamental than that. First of all, we find that hakaras hatov is not merely bein adam lechaveiro, but it's even bein adam ledomimim. Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't perform the first 2 makos because of hakaras hatov to the ground of Mitzrayim and the Nile. So obviously, Hakoras Hatov isn't for the sake of the one that you are showing the gratitude to. And secondly, Hakoras Hatov is very much tied in to Emunah Bein Adam L'Makom. Chazal say on by Paro, Kol HaKofe B'Tovosel Shel Basar V'Dam Sofa Lichbor B'Kodesh Baruch Hu. Paro, Asher Lo Yada Es Yosef, and he was Kofer B'Tovosel Shel Basar V'Dam, in the end said, Mi Hashem is Kofer B'Kodesh Baruch Hu. So you have to understand what exactly Hakoras Hatov is and what its importance is. The only way that we can really know the Rabbanu Shalom is through Tuvo, Hamtov HaMeitiv. The Rabbanu Shalom is the absolute good, but it's very difficult for a Nivra to be able to really appreciate the Rabbanu Shalom. So we know the Rabbanu Shalom through the Tovos that he does. He's HaTov, he's HaMeitiv. And through the Meitiv we understand the Tov. And therefore, it behooves a person to recognize good in the world. If you don't recognize there's any good, you can't possibly recognize the Rabbanu Shalom. And that's what Hakoras Hatov mean. It doesn't mean gratitude. It means simply recognizing that there's good. And Kfiyas Hatov means exactly the opposite. By Chametz, if you find Chametz on Shabbos Yontif, so Kofa Levas HaKli. So you cover it with a kli. So Kfiyas Hatov means that you cover over the good. You don't recognize that there's any good. So how does a person come to Hakoras Hatov? To recognizing there's good and then attributing it ultimately to the Rabbanu Shalom, so you can then have a Hakara of the Rabbanu Shalom through the Tov that he does in this world. The first shlav is that a person has to recognize that not everything in this world is coming to him. Most people, unfortunately, feel that they're born with a... They're born with a... It won't help. They're born with a tag on their toe that says you are entitled to 100% satisfaction in this world, and if you don't get 100% satisfaction, you have a right to complain. A person who feels like that doesn't recognize there's any good in this world because everything kommt mir. I once saw a political billboard. I think it was in Ranana. Big picture of somebody who was running for something over there, and it said, Magia lachem. I don't know if that was put up by his opponents or that was put up by... But that's the way people feel. Magia li. So if it's Magia lecha, then there's no Hakoras Hatov. I'm not getting anything. That's why Hoda'ah has two meanings to it. One is thanking, and the other is admitting. Unless a person can admit that what's coming to him is not necessarily, he's not entitled to it, and it's something good that he's receiving, so he can't really ever thank for it. He can't ever give Hoda'ah. That's the pshat in the Gemara that Leah said, Hapam Odes Hashem, that real Hoda'ah can only come when you feel that you're not entitled to it. Leah understood there were 4 wives, 12 children were to be, each one deserved 3. When she had her 4th, she was modeh that was not coming to her. And Memela, she could now give Hoda'ah too. So Hoda'ah depends on admitting at least that not kommt mir, that this is not something that I'm entitled to, but I'm gaining something good. So the Medrash says in Eicha, Mayisonein Adam Chai Gever al Chatov. What can a person who's alive complain? You're given life, that in itself is the ultimate good. You want to complain about why you're not fit to deserve that life. But life itself is something that a person's not necessarily entitled to, and it's a tremendous present. The Gemara says, "Lohoyu yomim tovim liYisrael kechamishasar ba'av u'kiyom HaKippurim." Those were the two ikar yomim tovim. So Yom Kippur, I understand. The Gemara says it's a Yom Slicha Mechila, Yom Shenitnu Balucho Shnios. But what's the big deal about Tu B'Av? So one opinion in the Gemara is that Tu B'Av was the day Shenitnu Haruge Beitar Likvura. People in Beitar were decimated by the Romans on Tisha B'Av. It's one of the 5 things that we fast for on Tisha B'Av. The Churban of Beitar. It was about 70-something years after Churban Bayis Sheni. And they killed men, women, children, hundreds of thousands of korbanos, and the Romans left them unburied to the elements for about 3 years. 3 years later, a nes happened, 2 nesim. They were able to get to the bodies, and they were able to bury them. And the second nes is the bodies in all that time hadn't decomposed. So they made a yontif, and they made a new bracha in benching. Hatov ha'meitiv. Hatov, that they were able to bury them, and ha'meitiv, that they didn't decompose. Now, I don't know, but if I had been there, I wouldn't have made a yontif. The day that you rebury somebody is a day of Avelis. I would have made a fast day. And I would say you could eat 5 minutes early because Lamaisa, their bodies didn't decompose and we're able to bury them. So it's not a total sorrow. But a yomtiv and a new bracha and benching. Every time I bench, I have to remember Haruge Beitar. I think Chazal wanted to teach us a tremendous lesson. And that is that along Golus was the nail in the coffin of Golus was sealed then by Haruge Beitar. And there weren't going to be too many good things in history to thank the Rabbanu Shalom for. Chazal wanted us to know that if you look at 100% satisfaction, you're never going to get it. If you look that you deserve nothing, and any little bit that you receive, your makir tova, then you'll be able to live in this world. So they made a yontif for the 2 little good things that were there. The majority was a tzara, but there were 2 good things. Lamaisa, they were able to bury them, and the bodies didn't decompose. For that, you make a yontif. Same thing with benching. People usually, the housewife usually prepares a nice meal, and what's the reaction? Too much salt, not enough salt, or whatever, right? Be makir tova, they get something to eat. So after all the great things of benching that we say, we understand that the zeicher, haruge beitar, right? Be thankful that there was something on the plate. Anything else is hakol revach. So that is why they added a bracha into benching. In addition, we'll see that Hakaras HaTov is not just recognizing what's good, but recognizing what good really is. What in this world is really, really good, which we'll get to in a second. So therefore, a person has to be makir tova, not only for things that are tremendously good, but even the smallest good. Right? The fact that a person has kiyum, Yom Kippur represents that after all the chatoyim, there's still a kiyum, you can do tshuva. And Beitar represents after all the churbanos, there's still a kiyum for that you're niskayim, be happy. In fact, the inyan of kibbud avayim, most people understand that kibbud avayim is based on hakaras hatov, for all the good things that your parents did for you. But some of the mefarshim put them together, bring out the fact that that's not the case. Because Torah says, wanted us to remember where we were given the mitzvah of kibbud avayim in Morah. Why? Because if you think that kibbud avayim is predicated on all the good things your parents did for you, They fed you, they clothed you, they gave you a place to live, they educated you. It's not true. Because where was the mitzvah given in the Midbar? In the Midbar, the parents didn't feed their children, the Rabbanan Shalom did. Parents didn't clothe their children, the Rabbanan Shalom did. They didn't house their children because the Rabbanan Shalom gave them Anoni HaKavod. Not only that, they didn't educate them either. Everybody was learning directly from Moshe Rabbeinu. And not only that, but these parents harmed their children because they made them stay in the Midbar for 40 years because of their chatoim. So here are parents who didn't benefit their children anything. And not only that, they harmed them, and those parents you have to give kibbud av va'em. Why? Because kibbud av va'em is hakaras hatov, but it's hakaras hatov for the greatest present a person has. He's alive. Your parents gave you life in this world, and that is something that's worth being makar tova for. So the first shlav of hakaras hatov is recognizing that you receive good. Whether the thing that gives you the good does it because that's what it's programmed to do, like the Nile or the ground of Mitzrayim, or because the person's tafkid is to do that, or it's something that is minute. But l'maisa, the fact that you're alive, that's enough to give the Rabbanan Shalom, and that's enough to be makar tova to the thing that you're receiving that good from. That's the first thing. Second is to be makir what's really good in this world. The word tov, even though it means good, but it also has a deeper meaning. In Maisa Bereshis, the Rabbanan Shalom created things, and then it says, Vayar Elokim ki tov. So when you're in first grade, you're allowed to understand that. The Rabbanan Shalom said, let there be fish. And then he took a look at it and says, not bad, looks like fish. Did a good job. Obviously, that is infantile. So what does it mean? Sends the Rabban Shalom brings things into existence through dibur, in our terms. Vayomer Hashem. So the Rabban Shalom spoke, and then Hu Omar Vayehi, and that created something. But now that thing that was created needs to be able to continue to exist. What gives it a continuation of existence? Vayar Elokim. The Rabban Shalom then looks at it, and it gives it the ability now to continue to exist. That's what Tov is. Tov is something that has a kiyum. And therefore the ultimate Tov, Olam Haba, is called Yom Shekulo Tov, because it never ends. It's eternal. The more something has a kiyum, the more Tov it is. Let's say that's the pshat by Moshe Rabbeinu. When he was born, it says, Vatireu ki tov. His mother saw that he was good. Vatitzmeneu shlosha yerochim. She hid him for 3 months. She hid him because if she didn't hide him, the Egyptians would have come. They made a cheshbon of when they knew she was pregnant, and they would have drowned the kid. So what in the world did it make a difference if he was tov or not? Right? Oh, he's a good little kid, let's save him from drowning. If he was a brat, so let the Egyptians come and drown the kid. What does it have to do about Tireu ki tov? So the Rashbam says, the way I understand it, says the following. Hiding a Jewish child from Paro was something punishable by death. The whole family would be killed for countermanding Paro's decree. He took a risk by hiding a child. Moshe Rabbeinu was born 3 months premature. Surely in those days, a 3-month premature baby didn't have too much of a chance of surviving. So now the shaila was, should I put the whole family at risk for a baby who's not going to survive anyway? But Tireu Kito, but she saw that he would survive, that he was capable of continuing to exist. He wasn't like a regular premature baby. The Mela, by him, if she didn't hide him, was a vadai. By the family was a suffix. So you put the family in a suffix sakana for a vadai. But tov means hodul Hashem ki tov ki liolam chazdo. That's why it's tov. So tov means something that exists not just temporarily, but the more that exists, the more tov that it is. It's substantive. So once you're makir tova, there are tovos in this world, then you have to be discerning what kind of tovos are transitory and what kinds of tovos are eternal. And then you have to really be makir tova, right? If life is just 120 years in this world, so it goes by very quickly. And somebody who gives me more life enhances my life, so I really have to be makir tova, because life is extremely important. I tell you, that's the Indian of benching. I don't want to extend your reason to bench too much longer, but when you bench, right, l'chora, if somebody asked me to devise a bracha, right, a grace after meals, so I would have said something like this: Rabbanu Shalom, the food was great, right? Really thank you for it. See you next meal. That would be my day of benching. It covers everything, and that really is the first bracha. But benching has bris and Torah and Yetzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah and Malchus Beis David and Binyan HaMikdash. All they did was eat a sandwich. Why'd I have to go through a whole refresher course in Jewish history for a sandwich? What's the purpose of that? Now, the idea is that if I really want to appreciate the fact that I ate, how important is eating? If eating only gives me a few more calories and extends my life another few minutes, so big deal. If life is not important, so eating can't be that important. But if life is bris and Torah and nitzchias and Malchus Beis David and Binyan Beis HaMikdash, that's what life is, then the sandwich that I ate is pretty important, because it extended that life. The more I appreciate how something is eternal, the more I can appreciate the tovos that are done, that extend and enhance the eternal thing. And that is the second shlav. And the third shlav is now not to just recognize the good and recognize how good it is eternally, but to recognize that ultimately that good came from the Rabbanu Shalom. That I have to now attribute it to the Rabbanu Shalom. How do you do that? There's a mashal, a baby drinks milk from a bottle. So the baby, if he's a bardas, gives thanks to the bottle. Bottles give milk. So every morning he gets up and he thanks bottles for giving him milk. Gets a little bit older, he sees the mother takes a milk carton from the refrigerator and pours it into the bottle. So he says, I'm making a big mistake. I thought bottles give milk. Milk containers give milk. So he thanks the milk container. After a while, he goes out into the country and he sees that cows give milk. That's how it got into the bottle. So he thanks the cow. After a while, he sees the cows eat grass, and from there comes the milk. He thanks the grass. Ultimately, if you trace everything back to its source, you're going to come back to the first cause, which is the Rabbanu Shalom. So after your makir tova, and your makir how much the tova is, then you have to trace it back to its source, and ultimately the source of everything is the Rabbanu Shalom. So that's why Hakaras HaTov is more than just thanking, gratitude. It starts with recognizing that I received something good, recognizing how important that good is, and recognizing that ultimately it all emanates from the Rabbanu Shalom. So Hakaras HaTov is not just Bein Adam L'Chaveiro. That's a very important part. But it doesn't end there. It ends also with Bein Adam L'Makom. You are very fortunate, because you're osek in the ultimate tov, le'elu, and you're osek in being native to Talmidim, and you're osek in Torah, which is ein tov el Torah. So you're surrounded and immersed in tov constantly, and you also have to be makir tova to each other. Because any one of you, no matter how great you are, could not accomplish what you accomplish because you have a tzevit, because you have people working together. So the inyan of Hakaras HaTov applies to each and every one of you from so many different approaches. That's probably why they asked me to speak about Hakaras HaTov. So you should be able to be matzliach, to have a tremendous amount of tov, to be makir, and to be matzliach in being mechanech talmidim, and that they should go on also to give you a tremendous amount of tov and zechuyos lenetzach netzachim.
Okay, Rebbe, I'll tell Rebbe what order I'm gonna go in. May not hit every question.
Fine. Don't tell me this way. It sounds, more.
It sounds more organic.
Right.
Okay. Is there? It's that gin.
Maybe I'll take that gin now.
Is there a barometer for when a Rebbe should take a step back and let his Talmidim make a mistake versus when he should intervene?
Okay, it depends what the mistake is. If you have a Talmud who's making a mistake and falling off a cliff, you shouldn't take a step back and let him fall off the cliff. And anything similar to that. On the one hand, Chazal say that Ein Adam Omer al Divrei Torah Elim Ken Yichshel Ba. Sometimes you have to make mistakes, and when you make mistakes and you correct them, you remember the correction, and you remember how to overcome challenges and mistakes. And that's very choshev. So when it comes to that, making a mistake in learning or whatever, it's an Indian to take a step back. On the other hand, there are situations where if a person makes a mistake, it's going to change the course of his life, or at least the temporary course of his life. There, it's not so good that a Rebbe lets his student make a mistake like that. The Rebbe's there, if Hashavas Aveda is a mitzvah, protecting a person from becoming an Aveda is for sure a mitzvah. So in those kind of mistakes, I think the Rebbe has to be the one to show the Talmud that he's an ozer and a matzil, right? On the other hand, and where the mistake may benefit the Sheva Yipol Tzaddik become, not despite the Sheva Yipol, but because of the Sheva Yipol, in those kinds of mistakes, a Rebbe has to let, just like a parent, has to let a child learn from their mistakes and learn how to deal with challenges. Those kind of things that are positive, Rebbe should do. Where the result will be extremely negative, and you don't know if he's ever going to get up if you let him fall, right? Then the Rebbe has to intervene.
Okay. Given that boys are dealing with anxiety and depression, and it might inhibit them from actually coming to yeshiva and participating in their day, the starim, minyanim, etc. On the one hand, we want to help these boys with their mental health, but on the other hand, it's difficult to keep a boy in yeshiva who's doing nothing because of his anxiety. How do we balance that?
Okay, first of all, to ask a boy or a girl to leave a school is dinei nefashos. Okay, not so easily done. I heard a mice. There was a Rebbe in a Talmud Torah in Bnei Brak, the time of the Chazon Ish, and he was known to be a tremendous onav. That was his maila. And the Chazon Ish called him in once, and he started yelling at him, Balgaiva. Nobody ever called him a Balgaiva in his life. So he looked at the Chazon Ish. What? He said, I heard that you asked a Talmud to leave your class, threw him out of class. So you don't know that asking a Talmud to leave a class is dinei nefashos? And dinei nefashos, you need 23 dayanim. You hold yourself to be in the place of 23 dayanim, ein lecha balgaiva gadol mizeh. That doesn't mean you never ask a child to leave a class, to leave a school. But it depends. What most Gedolei Yisrael say, if the child is a bad influence on others, then you have a mitzvah to save the others. Then you have no choice. the child is not a bad influence on others. He's not accomplishing anything, right? But he's not a bad influence on others. Then what's better? He should be home with his anxieties and depression, or should at least be sitting in a classroom for what's bad for him, and it's not bad for anybody else, right? The other ones understand there's something wrong with this boy. It's not that you're letting people get away with something that they would like to get away with too. They understand that never, they don't want to be like him. So it's not having an adverse effect on the others, and it's having for sure a good effect on him to let him be. The only thing is, you can't leave it like that his whole life. He should accomplish nothing and just be there and drift along. So he needs help. So sometimes he needs help of a Rebbe one-on-one. Sometimes he needs professional help. So get him the help, but don't ask him to leave the yeshiva if he's not having an adverse effect on other people.
Okay, follow up on that.
Yeah.
What if let's say he's breaking rules of the yeshiva? Clearly breaking rules, and maybe it's a grama. You don't know. You think that if he starts breaking the rules, maybe it doesn't directly impact other Talmidim, but we're afraid it will.
Okay, if you see that your fear is well-founded, then that's called he's having a bad effect. If you give it some time and you see that the other boys understand that there's something wrong with this boy and he needs help, right? And you're not looking the other way because the rules aren't important, but he's an exception to the rule. So if that's the case, then what's going to be better by asking him to leave? Surely you're not going to help him, and you're not causing anybody else harm. If you see the other boys are saying, if he can get away with it, then we should get away with it too. They don't understand the background, then maybe you have to find some other means to help this boy, not in a regular classroom situation.
Sorry. Just to clarify, this may be a very cruel question, but what about the reputation of the yeshiva? If you have boys that are...
In my estimation, a yeshiva that deals like that should have a great reputation. And the yeshiva that doesn't deal like that, right, does not have a reputation. And if you're afraid of people who don't understand that, who cares about those people?
Thank you, Rabbi. I want to stop right there. We're good. Halavai, the world should see Rabbi Tashkafa. Me'inyan linyan ba'oso inyan. At what point do a Talmud's issues transcend the role of a Rebbe, and he should be encouraged to see a therapist?
Okay, let me just give the hakdama to that. Why I can't answer it. Unfortunately, I have Rabbanim that I know that think that when they got smicha, they also got an MD and a DDS and a psychiatry degree or whatever, and they function like that. They paskin shilas have to do with medicine, paskin shilas have to do with psychiatry, probably even pull teeth. And they cause a lot of damage to people. They also consider themselves marriage counselors or whatever and have destroyed many marriages. I got smicha, gives me the ability to paskin shilas and teach Torah. Nothing more than that. There are people who have expertise, who have training, and those are the people you should go to find out if somebody needs their help or don't need their help. On the other hand, there are psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, doctors who think they're rabbanim, who think that they can paskin shilas, right, because of their expertise. That's just as bad. You need an interface between professionals, rabbanim, and other professionals, where a rav should be able to take advice from somebody that he trusts who has that expertise. Whether a boy needs professional help or not really depends on the assessment of people who are professional. And if I have a shaila and a suffix, I would send somebody to a professional that I trust, right? That's really a professional and really knows what he's doing, and get his assessment. And then I would decide whether he needs professional help or not. I had just recently, mamish, 2 girls in a seminary that I teach. One is suffering from anxiety, okay? But anxiety to a point where she is not capable of functioning sometimes because of her unreasonable anxieties. So the seminary sent her to a professional to help her. And the professional said she needs medication. And after hearing the whole thing, that's what she has. Her parents are against her having medication, but the parents may not know what they're talking about either because they're just ashamed or something like that. So what? Yeah, whatever, right. So I told her, look, we don't know if the medication is going to help or not. The professional said she doesn't know for sure, but in 6 weeks you can know if it's helping, it's not helping. So I said the trial period, you're not mechuyev to tell your parents. You're not mechuyev to listen to your parents and tell you to do something that's damaging to you. They can't tell you not to take medication if you need medication, right? On the other hand, we don't know yet if you need the medication. So you take it for the 6 weeks without telling your parents, and then when the professional decides whether you need to continue or not, if you need to continue, then it could be you have to tell your parents, and your parents have to be told that they can't stand in your way because it's been determined that you need this. Another girl came to me, and she says that she has anxieties sometimes, and one of her teachers suggested that maybe she see a professional. So I said, anxieties make it that you can't function sometimes? No, just sometimes I said, everybody has anxieties. We're all not going to professionals. There's certain times that going to a professional is important, and sometimes not. Not everybody today. Everybody is born and they already have a therapist, to make sure that they get out of the hospital from birth, okay. That's not necessary, but sometimes it is necessary. So each case is a different case.
The question is, I'm curious how much working in the chinuch world is someone expected to include guys in their personal life, bring them to their home. Obviously balancing the family, being with the family, and also being with the Talmidim.
Okay, a group of principals from America once asked me to speak about the following shaila, right? How much does a person have to work on their own chizuk and aliyah, and at the expense of not working on their talmidim's aliyah, learning for themselves or learning what they have to give over or whatever. What I told them is, if you phrase the question like that there is a conflict between personal perfection and perfecting others, then it's a big shaila. But a person should realize that they really work together. The bigger a person is and the more perfected he is, the more he knows, the more he learns, right? The more his family life is healthy, the more he can be mashpia on other people. And Mamela, he's not sacrificing what he can do for his Talmidim by having a healthy family and devoting time to his children and devoting time to his own personal aliyah, because he's the kind of person now who can surely have more hashpah. The opposite's also true. The more that a person perfects others and spends time with his Talmidim, the bigger a person he is, right? Learning-wise, what you teach to Talmidim a lot more than what you learn for yourself. That's usually the case, right? When you have to teach something to somebody, you know it a lot better than when you're learning it for yourself. So there's no conflict between them. So what is the shaila? The balance. How much here, how much there? It's not a shaila anymore of this or that. It's a question of how much of this and how much of that, and they work together. So each person's different, but a person should never look at the fact that having a healthy family and devoting time to his wife and children is a stira to his, right? And sometimes the way that you can be mashpia more on Talmidim is not having them in your house, right? So your home doesn't become the kind of home that will make an impression when you do have Talmidim there.
A common shaila that we get is, at what point am I ready to start dating? Is it better to encourage guys in general to wait longer?
Right.
The Rebbeim get a shaila from the Talmidim.
I think you already had the gin.
He's always like that.
As Rebbeim, we often get a shaila, at what point are we ready to start dating? Is it better to encourage the Talmidim to wait longer, to have more time learning and more time maturing, emotionally, psychologically? Or is it better for boys to start young and dumb?
It depends. A bocher who is already not learning what he could be learning because his mind is filled with all kinds of taivas. So Chazal say he should get married, right? Before he learns, because he's not learning, right? Or if his learning is learning, it's mixed with a lot of tumah. So that's one possibility. Another possibility is that the Talmud's a serious Talmud, and these things don't yet bother him, which is hard to believe. But in any case, that's a possibility, and he really could learn more and mature more. Then I would let that Talmud, for a certain amount of time, continue on learning. A Talmud that maybe these things don't bother him, but he hasn't found himself yet. He's very immature, doesn't know exactly what the derech hachayim he wants to choose. So how can he get married and choose somebody if he doesn't know who he is? So all of those factors are factors for that specific Talmud, when to tell him you're not ready, or when to tell him that you're ready, and in your situation you'll learn much better after you get engaged. I remember in my time, ancient history, Bochrim, Mir didn't get married till they were in their late 20s or early 30s or whatever. And then it got lower, but still guys were getting married in the 25, 26, whatever. In my time in Yeshiva, it started becoming that guys got married younger, 19, 20. And they were considered, I remember by an Aguda convention, one of the Choshevi Rosh Yeshivas, a younger Rosh Yeshiva, said that guys are still in baby carriages, pushing baby carriages. And he had a big time on the Rosh Yeshivas, they're not stopping it or whatever. But the Maisa, there's reasons why younger, but I remember that I got engaged young. I was just 19, 20 years old when I got engaged. And my Rosh Yeshiva of Baruch Sorotskin said that he heard that I'm getting engaged. He said, looked at me, he said, I think it'll be all good, it'll settle you down. So for some people, it's a good thing to get married. They'll learn better after they get married than before for various reasons. So it really depends, each person, like anything, depends on the person.
When we find that nowadays that concept of guys who let's say are not learning well and their minds are completely shakua and type and whatever it is, marriage doesn't help them. Like just the opposite of the same guys doing the same things when they're married, and just, to be honest, it just wrecks their marriage and then makes it much difficult than the second time around. So how do you deal with that?
Right here. Okay, that's I think that's one of the last questions there. That's similar to that. What the question was.
I just want to adapt the question a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
There were sensitivities within the question.
I hear.
I don't want to make Rebbe read the question.
Okay, I hear.
Okay,
so that's another manifestation of that same question. Yeah, on the one hand, marriage sometimes, if a boy is, somewhere on the borderline of maturity, and this could settle him down, then yeah, that's that. But if you're telling me now that most of them are not like that, they've gotten used to a lifestyle that marriage would just be a conflict with them, they won't give up that lifestyle. So what they're going to do is to oppress a wife, right? Then they're not ready for marriage. then it could be what has to be is yeshivas have to have courses for boys, not chosim courses just in halacha, but what it means to get married. Even before that, what it means to live, right? What life is all about. It's not just, partying all the time. And it really behooves places of chinuch to be mechanech people, right, what life is and what marriage is. And maybe that's what will make the difference. But to let somebody get married when their whole lifestyle is a lifestyle that will not adapt to marriage is, again, causing nice Benos Yisrael a lot of tzoros. So you maybe should create such a framework.
We have a shir already in yeshiva that first of all teaches boys how to live, in the morning, and then in the afternoon, and then in the afternoon he teaches dating and marriage. And Rosh Yeshiva also gives the dating and marriage shir.
Okay, very good.
Top shir.
Okay, other so matzah. That's why it's called Leila, I guess.
The final question, given that the boys are growing up, Kimat 100% of them have been exposed to challenges of Shmiras Einayim, and that for many of these boys it's something that they're not able to get over. And even some of the best boys in yeshiva will continue to struggle with it, though they're in pain that they're struggling with it. And they're talking to their rebbeim and sharing with their rebbeim that they're not able to stop, but they're trying to stop. They can go on a streak, and now they want to start dating. They're b'nai Torah. They've grown up very nicely. This continues to be an issue that they struggle with. So the question is, can they start dating even with these challenges, given that they know that these challenges are perennial? And how do I, if I should, how should I tell a girl that I'm dating or a wife that I have?
Okay, the only answer I can give you is the following: it depends. The Gemara says that one of the reasons to get married is that a person then directs his taivas, right, in a way that's mutter and saves him min achet. If that is the kind of bocher we're talking about, he's not addicted, right? He just has normal taivas. And this will be a way to channel them in a proper way, then adarabah. Unfortunately, that is not the case today in many situations. We're talking about addictions. Addictions need professional help. And there are ways professionally of weaning a person from an addiction, all kinds of addictions. Then you'd have to send the person first for professional help, because getting married is not going to solve the problem. It's just going to create a new problem and give somebody else that problem too. And that's not fair. So, and again, somebody's married already and has a problem, so his wife should know, and they should work on it together, right? With a professional. And the same thing goes, usually if a person's not married yet and he has a problem and he's addicted, he should work on the addiction before he gets married.
Any other questions in the crowd?
One quick one, maybe. There's a Jerusalem marathon is on Friday. It's a big thing. Our students get involved. On a chinuch level, is that something we should be... Their background is modern Orthodox. It's like, I'm not even sure they chop what the issues are. Is that something we should be addressing with the boys, maybe not to be running in the marathon, things of that sort?
Why shouldn't they run in the marathon?
Social scenes is...
Hopefully they'll be running alongside women. Hopefully they're in front of the woman. Okay? Our guys, we have a different problem. If they're behind the woman, we have a different problem.
If they're behind the woman, we have a different problem.
Oh.
I don't know, what will be gained if you tell them they can't do it? What's going to be their reaction?
I'm not saying can't, but
to suggest there's better things to do.
Leave it. Let's.
I don't think that a bacher that you describe can possibly understand what's wrong with running in a marathon, and therefore Shevi al Tasa.
How can we construct a program within the yeshiva itself, that the Talmud should understand that he's going to be getting married, and marriage is a different life. Here he is totally self-centered. He could leave his room in the dorm gefährlich. He's served 3 meals a day. He doesn't have to take out the garbage. He doesn't have to help anybody. The Beis Medrash's Rebbe's always over there, and so. And because he's in a yeshiva, when he comes home, and when she comes home, I think it's not just the males, the females. She's the princess and he's the prince. You don't expect him to come home 2 weeks before Pesach and get on his hands and knees and fakir, because they're all going to be in Boko or anyway for Pesach, and say, hey, you're going to get married. What could we do in the yeshiva to construct a program that we shouldn't look like, we're crazies, and train the kids? That's what married life is all about. Wow. I mean, you talk about inviting kids home, how much it bothers my background, by the way, I find it the worst is by girls and older girls. My wife could have 3 little pitzalach in the house, and the girls in the mid-20s are sitting around the table, and she's working like a dog, and they sit like princesses.
My wife has the same observation, but not all the time, right? Sometimes girls are brought up well, and they help. I had one girl, she comes from a very wealthy family, came to us for Shabbos, and she begged my wife to let her do the dishes. Why? I've never done dishes in my life, and I want to experience what it's like.
But once was too much. So how can we build something like that within the Seder Hayom of the yeshiva?
Okay, honestly, when I had a yeshiva, so we had bachrim that were in their early 20s, late teens. My son-in-law, one of my sons-in-law was a mashgiach in the yeshiva. He was maybe 5-6 years older than these guys. He once came to me, he said, I'm like 2 generations away from these guys. You're like 10 generations away. You have no hasaga how these guys think or whatever, and what their lifestyle is or whatever. Since then, I don't like to make suggestions for people that I have no idea what they're, right? You're involved with them, right? You know these boys. You can know how to make a program. I can't. They're not in my world, right? Not the way I was, not the yeshivas that I went into. I mean, I learned in Telz. The worst thing you could do maybe was have a radio. That was the biggest yetzer hara. How do I deal with kids? That the halabai, right? They should be radio announcers. What's it called?
Maybe our boys don't have radios, I promise.
Aksher Dara.
Rebbe, thank you so much for the time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, she'll have a lot of hatzlacha, and enjoy your meal also.
I just told him I did it the very marathon with his son, and he's like somebody
I would do it for anything. I always say, I just feel like I was in my chair. Oh, hey! Hey!
He spent many hours on a surprise that the boys of Yeshiva put together for the Rabbein, Hakaras Hatov. There was a technical issue that we still can't overcome 100%, so it's not going to be it's not the final product. We're seeing a draft of what of the final product. So Mir Tashem, the final product will come by email, as Hashem Bekarov. But here's a snippet. I mean, here's the whole video, but it's not in its final form.
That one of yours played at the time for the episode. I'd rather have one of my wallets.
Ooh.
What a year.
Please take the time to watch it. Once again, a very, very special thank you to Mrs. Kaplan.
Rabbi Sai, Mevaseret. Yeshem Adonai Mevarach, Me'atav Yad Olam, B'Shus HaKohanim, Maranan v'Rabbanan v'Rabbi Sai Nevarech Eloheinu Shechama Mishalom. Eloheinu Shechama Mishalom, Tevol Chayinu, V'Rachatan Eloheinu Chaylam. Hazan Salam Chaylam V'Chen V'Chesed Baruch atah Adonai, Hazan Salam. Yeshiva davening and your davening is two separate things? No, we move Yeshiva davening. I move everything. When I was at
What are you davening?
Me? Was advisor involved in the making of that poster? No, because I mean, he had a tremendous influence on my life for many years. The line of writing Rebbe, I went to her Safi yesterday.
That's why
I'm very excited.
I know you didn't say that. I know you didn't say that.
Here, thank you.
Can you arrange that another meeting for dinner?
I'm going to go to this place.
Right.
So, Levy,
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go without you.
So whoever thinks they're coming with me, come with me, and then we'll fit it in.
Okay, I'm going to the Jerusalem, the Shuk.
I put in her shelf. Okay? Good.
Okay, about this, say that?